As I have been very clear in expressing in the classroom, I am not a huge fan of the quotient rule. I've always just had difficulty keeping it all straight, keeping the order of when I should derive the top versus the bottom correct, remembering it's subtraction and not addition. I always forget to square the denominator, or I completely forget the denominator entirely. I just struggle with the quotient rule. But I've always really liked the chain rule, and I don't mind the product rule. So here, I just wanted to show you what I do to avoid the quotient rule. Um, and what it is whenever I have a quotient, I choose to rewrite my function, whoops, so that it's multiplication, meaning I'll use the product rule, with a negative exponent. Now I'm aware I could have switched this to be secant squared instead of 1 over cosine squared. I just wanted a nice one to practice with, just so you could see how I'm using the chain rule, or to avoid the quotient rule. So now when I find a prime of x, I have first x squared plus 5x times the derivative of the second. Well, the negative second power is the outside, so negative 2 comes down. The inside does not change. Subtract 1 to get my new exponent. But then I need to multiply by the derivative of the inside, so I need the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine, and then plus second, cosine of x to the negative second, times the derivative of the first, 2x plus 5. And there is my derivative. If I were to simplify this, cosine of x to the negative power means for the first term here, I'd have cosine cubed on the bottom, I have cosine squared on the bottom over here. So common denominator of cosine of x cubed. And I have x squared plus 5x times a positive 2 sine of x, plus I would need an extra cosine on the top for this part, times 2x plus 5. And this actually is what I would get if I did the quotient rule and simplified. So chain rule and product rule simplify gives me the same thing as if I do quotient rule and simplify. Since I'm not required to simplify, it doesn't actually matter which way I do it. So in class, you'll see me use quotient rule just to help all of us practice, especially myself, not including myself, but especially myself. But I wanted you to see, hey, if quotient rule is a real struggle for you, there are ways to get around it.